What's up, my fellow Las Vegas VIPs? The time has finally arrived. Support for the Guest List podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their fourth-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. Wait for it. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Imagine shaving with a sleek, well-designed, and optimized trimmer that makes shaving time your favorite time in the bathroom. I, for one, am one of the first people to try the new 4.0, and I'm blown away by the performance. The craftsmanship and details on the 4.0 are next level. Guys, I literally just got out of the shower after trying this 4.0 lawnmower for the first time, and I have to say this is a complete different experience from when I was a young college frat boy running around using a traditional razor to shave my family jewels. I can tell you, for one, it does not give a young man filled with testosterone a lot of confidence when you have a cut-up man region and you know when you find a significant other for the night, a flick of the light can end your night in embarrassment. I have all of the confidence now knowing that Vegas is about to open up and I have a perfected, trimmed Manscaped area. Manscaped engineered the ultimate groin and body trimmer by focusing on intelligent functionality and an incredible, comfortable grooming experience. Their fourth-generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. I now feel confident shaving my boys. This upgraded trimmer includes a multi-function on and off switch that can engage a travel lock. It also gives you the ability to turn on the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The Lawnmower 4.0 even allows you to customize your trim through additional guard lengths with sizes 1 through 4. Did I mention wireless charging? The new wireless charging station uses electromagnetic induction, which can help battery length last longer. Men, if you've been shaving with the same nut trimmer on your face, you've been doing it wrong. No person wants to end up with pubes in their mouth. It's time to get your own ball hair and body trimmer with Manscaped to make me time the best time and enhance your confidence with some nice, smooth boys. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code TheGuestList at manscaped.com. That's right, 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code TheGuestList. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Thank you guys for your support, and now I know that you're ready to hear the show, so get on in there and enjoy the ride. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we have a sponsor for the show. Thank you, Manscaped, for sponsoring the show. For those who are contributed to the first month in purchasing a product, please screenshot your receipt, post it on social media, and you will be invited to the first ever private event, the belated 1-year Guest List podcast anniversary. There will be an open bar, there will be drinks, there will be a party, and we will have fun. Today on the show, I'm here with Ian Machen. He is the founder and CEO of Ludian and the co-founder of Mobility Pioneer. For those who have been with us since the very beginning, you could go all the way back, and I'm talking over a year ago, to episode 15 with Zach Solowitz. Zach works with Ian, but Ian is actually the founder, and so we can learn a little bit more. Ludian is basically an intelligent and advanced mobility company. Some of the things that they cover is autonomous vehicles, AI, Internet of Things, data management, and so much more. This is right up my tech-based interest alley. So let's get on with the show. Thank you, Ian, for being here.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you for the invitation.
We're so long overdue for this. We've been trying to do this for so long.
We have something called COVID thing going out.
Yeah. Yeah. You came to Vegas February 2020 with a lot of inspiration, and you knew you wanted to make a change, and then COVID hit. What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was like, nothing else I'd experienced before, hitting out on this new venture and then The world came to a grinding halt. Really challenging. It wasn't obviously something unexpected. Heard about it on the news. Lived through it a little bit in the UK before I jumped on that on the aircraft and came over. But again, it was something that stopped me in my tracks initially. But then, with the work we do here in the US and globally, it's something I thought to myself, well, we've got to get over this, get past this. I've been through quite a few challenges in my life, and this was just another one. So it's like, hey, roll the sleeves up, get on, and get over it.
Overcome and conquer. Yes. I love it. So there's two different directions we could take this. I know you have over 30 years of experience in the intelligent mobility and intelligent transportation system. And you also just mentioned that you moved over here from the UK. So let's kind of combine these two ideas and give the listeners and myself some context of who Ian is and what specifically brought you out here overseas.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I will try and explain that one. Yes, it's over 30 years in the industry, which is quite hard to believe myself sometimes. Started really having a real interest in technology and electronics back as a teenager, living with my parents. I used to get in trouble with taking things apart. So, taking the TV apart, taking the record player apart, just to understand how it worked and hopefully get it working again. So really, with a passion for technology, space was another big passion of mine. Love thinking about, I'd love to be an astronaut, love to do this. But again, that's sometimes out your grasp, especially coming from the UK. And then went to college. Did qualifications in electronics and electrical engineering, again, which kept my passion going, really enjoyed that. And then started working in the railway industry in the UK for what was then British Rail before it was privatised. And then really that sparked me on more and more, got to learn more about how technology works in transportation. How do we keep people safe on the railway lines? How do we enhance the service? So on the railway, then I got more involved in the technology around rail services. And the UK has got a huge rail network. And again, that was another great thing I loved about riding on trains. I'm not a train freak, but I used to enjoy the sitting back and going places on the train. So again, having that as a work environment as well as an enjoyable part-time thing, is really good to do. And then from railways, got more into highways and into technology. So I'd always been around technology, understanding technology. I'd always pushed myself in different directions in technology to try and really understand the nuts and bolts about how something works. If I can understand it, then I can make it work better. So I worked a lot on enhancing systems in that field.
Wow. The railroad system in Europe is very important because unlike the railway system in America, it was publicized at a time and it's used for conventional travel all around the country and multiple countries as well. It's like a international system.
Yeah, correct. The rail network in the UK and Europe is huge. It's one of the main forms of transportation if you're going long distance. I used to work in London. And I used to live in Doncaster in Yorkshire. Now, it's around 200 miles-ish away. And again, driving there every day or every week would have been a real challenge. Jumping on the train, an hour and 40 minutes, station to station, sit back, relax, have your cup of tea, your coffee, have a breakfast in the morning, and a great way to start the week, really. You get the newspaper out, have a read back in those days. Or get the laptop out, do some work, and prepare yourself for the week. And it was a fantastic system. And again, it's good to see again here in Vegas. We're going to have the link to California, which again we've got a few years for that's ready. But when that is available, that's going to be a great way to travel, and it's going to be an education for a lot of people as well. I think in that respect.
You came to the right city that's experimenting in all kinds of different transportation techniques. We have Elon Musk with the boring tunnel, which this was the first city where he was trying to experiment with it. You moved out here. You started your own private company, but you began with a public transportation system. Is there a reason why you decided to switch over into the private sector? Are there more hurdles, or is there more efficiency between public transportation systems and private?
Well, part of my journey really, again, I came from it was a government entity in the railway, and it got privatized. The government then sold off a lot of the assets to raise funds, and it went into private industry. So again, that was a different change for me, which brought me into the highway side, which then delivered me into the Middle East, where I was working out there for 8 years, based out of Dubai, heading up the intelligent mobility division out there for a consultancy. And so again, I was working with mainly government clients, but again, advising on technology integration into transportation systems, and again, mainly around roads, but again, some of the interactions with tram and rail. So I'd always had not like a foot in each camp, but understood both sides of the fence. So coming into Vegas into the private sector. Working with the private sector, it was an easy transition for me. Again, I love working with government clients. I think it's great because again, I mean personally, and the organisations brings a wealth of experience into that to help organisations take steps that can be quite challenging in respect of implementing technology. So again, as I said before, coming here was a great choice for me because there's a lot of different modes of transportation here. Right down from cycle hire, right up to we're looking at like I said, Elon Musk's boring tunnel. We've got the tram here. We're talking about some light rail systems. We've got the high speed rail link to California. Obviously, a lot of roads on the network, a lot of cars on the road network, should I say? So lots of different transportational modal change challenges as well. But again, working within both sides is for me is a great experience.
Does transportation cover even the small traveling devices like bicycles and electric scooters and rollerblades and things like that? Is that covered in those sectors as well? Yeah,
so we talk about micromobility.
Micromobility,
yeah,
okay.
Which is around your scooters and your cycles. So again, that covers that side because it is a form of transportation, and a lot of cities use it for those small, short internal trips where I may not want to walk that far, but again, I'm able to ride a bike or ride an electric scooter to those destinations again, and it covers what we call in the industry first mile, last mile. So again, I may get off a metro station or I may get off a transit stop, but it's, let's say, 20-minute walk home from there because it doesn't quite hit me where I need to be. Now, if I have then other options of transportation to make that last mile or the first mile when I start off, then it helps me cover my full journey from home to, or from, A to B, wherever that may be.
Yeah, I am a member of the RTC bike transit system, right, that they have right outside this building and spread all throughout downtown and the Arts District. It makes it easy because from where we're recording right now in the Arts District, Fremont Street's only a mile, but it's like I don't want to go to Fremont Street where I have to pay $10 for parking when I can just pay $15 a month and just ride the bike there. And then they also store the bikes as well. So you don't have to worry about locking it up and getting it stolen or anything like that. So I hope to see more things of the micro transport pop up and the different things around it. I know the bird scooters were popular for a little while in California, and that seemed like it became much more of a nuisance than it was like more of an accessibility than anything.
Yeah, when you introduce something new into an environment or an ecosystem, there needs to be education, because I've never had it before, and I've now got it. What do I do with it? There's rules, there's regulations, there's and respect around all these different things. So again, when your Ubers and Lyfts, as we call them, TNCs, arrived, that was a change, and we need to think about how we're going to use them. So again, micromobility, it's not for everybody. So a lot of people cannot use them or won't use them, but it's got to be used in the right way and introduced in the right areas. So if I'm in a really congested downtown area, it's good, but again, I've got to think, I've got this new infrastructure that's going to have to locate somewhere, can I accommodate that with my current, streetscape layout? Is that possible? Am I going to get scooters just dumped everywhere? And again, so if I'm walking along that area, or I'm looking at that area, has it made a negative effect on? Does the positives outweigh the negatives? So again, it's how it's introduced, which is very, very important.
And on the other side of transportation, of not just the vehicles itself, the infrastructure seems to be a hot topic within the United States in general, right? Joe Biden trying to introduce a multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure package that upgrades not just the vehicles, but the roadways and the sidewalks and the electric efficient streetlights and things like that. When I had Zach on, you guys had just begun signing your first contract with the Henderson Silver Knight Stadium to operate some of the smart traffic signals and things like that outside of there. How important is it to touch on these different infrastructure points and to kind of innovate it into the next level of transportation?
Okay, that's a cracking question. So if we look about the investment that's been made in infrastructure, it's huge. Again, this is all the way across the globe, and especially here in the US. Now, let's say I have a 3-lane roadway, okay, and again in a fairly populated area, and I'm seeing congestion. I am seeing large wait times. Excuse me. And how do I improve that? I could rip up the sidewalk and put another lane in and say, hey, let's make it 4 lanes, we can push more vehicles through. But that will only keep you going for so long. If you build it, they will come. And that is, a big challenge we have in transport, because if we make things more easily and usable, then people get attracted to it. Now, if we look at it from a different approach, this is what I do a lot of. So, the traditional view may be, we need to add a new lane. We need to change the layout. We need to do some big infrastructure changes. We need to put a tunnel in. We need to do something. We need to put a bridge in. Large infrastructure investments, huge, with massive disruptions when the actual work's happening. But it will only give you relief for so long. Now, again, put a different approach on this and look at it from, like I said, a technology innovation perspective. We've already got the infrastructure on streets. We've already got the lanes in there. We've already got the assets that have been bought. Let's make them work a lot more efficient. Now, by doing this, it means our infrastructure investment is a lot less. And we can what we call squeeze the assets. We can make them more efficient with no real change to it. We just make them work better, make them work more efficiently. And again, this is a lot of stuff we do with innovative technology to say, hey, let's push as much as we can to make efficiencies happen. And it is surprisingly the difference you can actually make. Some of the projects I've done in Henderson, we've seen some huge improvements in reliability, efficiencies, carbon emission savings, and just the whole feel of the area. Again, so an investment by the transportation industry here, we've seen big changes, and it's fantastic to see that you can actually do something and make a difference just by making things work more efficiently.
Especially Vegas, it's one of the fastest growing cities in the entire country. I mean, for God's sake, we only have 2,000 houses on inventory. That shows how many people are moving here. But how do we make it actually more efficient? Do you put in something like sensor pads in the streets that weigh the amount of weight on the street, which then integrates with the street lights for stop and go? How does it become more effective with the integration of technology?
Okay, so if you imagine a traditional setup of a traffic signal, somebody goes out and witnesses the amount of vehicles on the street and makes timings of those traffic signals according to demand. So it's a physical, I'll go on street, I'll look, and I'll take some of the data from the system. So out there on the streets now, there's either cameras or there's loops or there's wireless detectors that are counting the number of vehicles across the stop line, so across on each line. So I know how much vehicles are flowing across that road network at any one given point in time. So I utilize that to generate what we call a timing plan, which then allows that traffic to flow. Now, as we know, traffic volumes change. Land use change, so a new building opens up. So, I don't know, Vegas opens up on June the 1st, so we're going to see a trend and a change then in traffic. Now, by implementing technology, what I can do is, or what the industry can do is, I can constantly sense demand second by second and make changes to what we call the green time second by second and along a corridor as well. So I can link what we call intersections together. So as I'm driving down a set of 10 intersections, I'm not hitting a red every time. I mean,
that's such a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah. So if I implement a system then that knows exactly how many cars are, where they're going, how long it takes to drive from intersection to intersection, it will then calculate that. So it's like an AI, it's like a little brain that sits there and controls the timing of all these intersections. So I say we're not doing any huge changes with infrastructure. We're just putting some smart into it, giving it some intelligence to say, hey, just react on what you've got. And again, by doing this, we just see a huge change in efficiencies, massive.
It's definitely needed. We don't want to end up like LA, where there's just constant traffic jams of hours and just so much labor hours and money wasted, just stuck in traffic. When you create these efficiencies, one of the growing trends I see all the time is IoT, which I mentioned in the beginning, which is the Internet of Things. How far along is this technology from actually being implemented into society and having noticeable change?
We see it now. We sometimes don't realize it. So again, we all typically carry a phone, most of us, and typically smartphones. So if you have a navigation app on there, it's tracking where you are. So again, as you're driving around the network, there's organizations now that pull that data in, that buy that data to look at what's happening out there to use for efficiency. So we can use that for looking about how many vehicles it is, how long it takes to get from A to B. So again, no infrastructure deployed on site, but from big data, from IoT devices, we know what's happening out there. So there is subtle changes now. As we get further into IoT and as we get into a more connected environment and, some legacy systems then connect onto the more advanced technologies and advanced systems, we can then pull all that together. So let me give you a scenario. So you're in a vehicle and you've broken down, okay, in a lane right at an intersection. Now, the systems don't know that. Unless somebody spots you on a camera and does something about it and makes a manual change, nothing will change on that road network. Now, if I'm fully connected, I realize a vehicle's broken down, with the data, so something stopped moving. Now, I'm going to hit peak traffic, so I know that lane out of use is going to have a big impact on my road network. So I need to make changes in rerouting people around that issue. So the navigation systems will start rerouting because I want to take vehicles off that piece of road network. But also I want to retime my intersection. But then I also want to get rid of the problem. So I want to get you off the network. So I need to get somebody out to you, a recovery truck. And again, but done all in the background, all seamlessly. And also when you're broken down in that lane, there's more chance of an accident, a rear ender. So I've got a safety issue then. So again, I need to then let people know, alert people. So again, it's connecting all these things together. I mean, there's some initiatives here in the valley that are doing that, and some of them that are looking at things like, if I'm a pedestrian and I step out onto a walkway when my crosswalk's on red, technology now can alert connected vehicles that there's somebody stepped out on a pedestrian walkway right in front of you. And part of that is coming soon into the medical district, for example. So it's here, but it's It has to be rolled out. Somebody has to pay for this. Somebody has to roll this out. And again, the connected world then becomes more useful. Improves safety, efficiencies, and we as the users of it benefit from it.
Have you ever used the app Waze? I'm sure you're familiar with it. They have something similar to that where you have to manually put in if there's a car broken down. It asks you kind of that question. But with IoT, it just makes that automated because they censor a car that's stopped. So it seems like it's just like the next level of the evolution of that kind of thing.
Yes, correct. So like you said, in Waze and other systems, you put down that broken down vehicle, which then tells everybody else. Mm-hmm. So again, the backbone's there. It's taking those next steps. And again, as next generations of vehicles come out, the more and more advanced, again, more and more technology integrated. We have issues with standards and requirements. Again, some of the vehicle manufacturers want to go down their own route. But again, when this all comes together under the same umbrella, then our journey on the road network is going to go a lot more safer, a lot more efficient, and a lot more reliable. So if I'm commuting to the office every morning, I want that journey to be reliable. So I want to know that it takes me 20 minutes every day. I don't want one day to be 15 minutes, the next day to be an hour. That's no good. I want this reliability down. Again, this is what technology, innovation, and IoT is one of the solutions bring us.
It seems like Tesla is really leading the way in terms of software that's being integrated into vehicles. I see Elon Musk and a lot of investors actually now quote Tesla as more of a technology and software company, and I guess a lithium battery company more than an autonomous vehicle company because of the upgrades and the different procedures and implementations that they have in terms of safety. What's your opinion on Tesla?
As an organization, I think it's great because, again, you think about Elon Musk's story and where he's come from. It's fantastic. And the advancements in space with SpaceX, awesome. And again, it's bringing advancements where we probably wouldn't have gone in government because it's a private industry, private money that's financing it, which is great. Tesla's a product, again, I think it's great. I think they have some challenges and limitations like all industry does. And he's pushing the boundary. He really is pushing the boundary. Is the public ready for everything like that? Mainly, but again, you see some of the stories of people, sleeping behind the wheel of a Tesla in autopilot, which again, no. The technology is not there for full what we call level 4/level 5 automation, where I don't have to. So level 5 automation, it means there's no steering wheel in the vehicle. I don't touch anything. Level 4 is I can take manual control if I wish, but I don't have to do it. It should learn what to do in new situations. It should be so advanced that if it comes across something new, it doesn't crash. It doesn't think, oh, I need to keep going, or I need to brake, or I need to turn left, or I need to turn right. It actually knows what to do. So with Tesla, for example, again, they are really pushing the boundaries, which is great, which forces everybody else to do so. But again, I think a lot of the public and some of the Tesla drivers and owners are not, they put too much faith in something that isn't 100% ready yet. That's my perspective.
Autonomous vehicles definitely seems like it will have a huge net benefit towards society. I could just imagine going into your car and you can just work on something. Like it would increase productivity everywhere and less stress, but it seems like it does seem so much farther away. I know the Strip has experimented with a few different autonomous taxis over the last few years. I remember when I worked at Omnia from Terrace, you could see this like one Lyft sponsored autonomous vehicle driving around the Strip. But it seems like that's kind of as far as I've gotten, is just one vehicle at a time, because I guess there's issues with them.
Well, obviously Lyft worked in partnership with, it was Active then, which is now Motional, to provide the vehicles. So they had a fleet of vehicles, obviously partnered with Lyft, which I think recently they've pulled out of that market now. Lyft found it a big financial
Like a burden.
Yeah, yeah. To a few $100,000. So that, for example, but that's all about experimental as well. So it had a driver, so it could take over in case of a problem. But in this field we're in here, we need data. We need running data. We need more and more information about what happens in that process of autonomous driving. When it goes wrong, why did it go wrong? What didn't the system understand? Was it a new situation? Because again, we think about us as drivers and the way we function, and our brains are fantastic things. We can react to a new situation. We tend to do that in a safe way. There's a lot of drivers out there that don't. But if we're a good driver and an educated driver, we can react to a new situation and keep ourselves and other traveling members safe. So it's that new thing I come across. Again, AI is not quite there with the human brain. There is some organizations that race vehicles in AI mode and non-AI mode, and to do that. But that's on a closed racetrack. But that advancement then comes into normal autonomous vehicles. But again, it's more about that. We've got to keep learning and learning and learning until it's ready to take that next leap into faith around giving that trust over to something that's not a machine. An interesting discussion I had previously was, okay, so if the US, let's give it a number. Let's say there's 50,000 deaths a year in the US, okay, with human driving, okay? If I went full automated, okay, and I made that 49,999 deaths a year, so I've saved a life every year, is that acceptable? That a computer made a decision and somebody died? So is that, do we feel that that's acceptable by saving one life, but a computer killed 49,999 others?
It's tough in America because I guess this is just a human nature trait, but we want to hold somebody accountable. Yes. So if there was a death caused by a computer, you can't hold anyone accountable unless you're holding the creator accountable. But he or she is not directly controlling it. So that does become a little bit of a catch-22 scenario.
It is, but is it the manufacturer of the device that failed? Is it the manufacturer of the integration company that took that device and built it into the vehicle? Is it the manufacturer of the vehicle itself? Is it the person who wrote the software? So you've still got a number of different entities that came to that. Let's call it a failure. Where in a vehicle we've got there's one person, which is specifically the driver, unless there's a huge mechanical failure of the vehicle. But it's 99.9% down to the driver. So you've got one, like you said, you've got one person to be held accountable for.
It's a weird scenario. I am hoping that I think Vegas will benefit the most from automated driving because it will literally eliminate drunken driving out on the streets, right? If you can't control a vehicle, or if it's automated and let's say you go to the bar and you've been partying all night, and then you just get in this automated car and it drives you home. It takes that person who's drunk from behind the wheel, and now you're probably passed out in the passenger seat, and then just get dropped off at home. So it seems like It could increase. I think it would increase a lot of revenue for Vegas, because a lot of these people wouldn't be deterred from going out because they don't have a ride, or they don't have a car, or whatever circumstances it is surrounding them going out for the night.
But we've got a public transportation system here that does the same thing.
But is it time efficient?
Well, there is that, and it's again, we in this modern world, we want things instantly. And again, this is why the Uber and the Lyft of the world have taken off so well, because I can personally select it. I can pool if I want to, but if I don't, I can just have my own vehicle that turns up and takes me home. Again after a night out, and I know it's there for me, and it's going to take me, and it's going to come to exactly where I'm stood right now. Again, with transit services, I've got to go to a central pickup point. But again, there is different options now. The autonomous way makes it more available potentially because there's no drive to take rest. Again, there will become a point in the future where all vehicles are, let's say, either connected. So, like the traffic light infrastructure that's out there now, that will disappear at some point in the future because we won't need it. Because everything will know where every other thing is and be able to react around that. And again, if I'm a pedestrian crossing the road, again, I'm going to need something to tell me it's safe to cross, but I'm not going to have red lights to stop cars because, again, I'm going to communicate with the vehicles and tell them, hey, you need to not drive down this piece of road right now. So that, again, the infrastructure requirements change then from having hard infrastructure to having soft infrastructure, like the cloud, the software, to drive it all.
It's beautiful. It's almost like we're resorting back to the 1800s when there was just carriages and horses on the road where you didn't need stoplights and things like that. It's just everything is dictated off of what you see around you and not what's telling you to do something.
Yes.
Interesting.
But we want to get there faster, don't we? Then.
Yeah, let's freaking hope so, man. So a lot of these, speaking of just like autonomous vehicles, they are all operated, at least from what I've seen, through electricity. None of these that I've seen are gas powered, correct?
Typically, no.
So is the transportation industry heavily trying to push towards electric vehicles? Does that seem like just a common acceptance within the transportation industry?
Well, there's two approaches. So look at the wagon we lift on the street. I mean, they are predominantly gas-powered vehicles that autonomy is being introduced into. But gasoline or fossil fuel, let's say, powered vehicles will go, whether they're autonomous or not. Because again, we think about what's happening to the air we breathe. Again, we can't keep going the way we are. We're not as a globe. We're not going to last. So we need to cut down on everything that puts out pollutions into the atmosphere. So the efficiencies in alternatives. Oh, let's think about electric, or let's think about hydrogen, or whatever the new generation is going to come through as. Maybe nuclear. Again, think about Back to the Future and things like that. But so there is a push away from gasoline by the manufacturers anyway. So that is going to happen. So again, with autonomy, if we think about purpose-built vehicles, they're typically electric. But again, it doesn't have to be. It can still be fossil fuel powered, but again, that is going anyway. So, but it's two different technologies. It doesn't really matter whether the vehicle is electric or hydrogen or gasoline. It doesn't matter how it's powered from an AV perspective. But then there's other things to consider. So if I'm an AV vehicle and I'm running on battery and I want to run for 10 hours a day, I might not be able to do that. I need to charge in between time. So my AV needs to take me to a charging point. Or if I'm gasoline powered, the driver has to step up in some point and then go and then fill the vehicle for gas.
That's true.
So again, because we're going away from fossil fuel, then there will all become alternative.
Interesting. And there's various forms of energy, as you touched on, nuclear power as well. I saw a documentary about a few months ago about somebody who tried to create an H2O powered vehicle. I think this was a few decades ago, and there was some sort of conspiracy behind why it never reached the road. Is it? I guess what I'm trying to cater towards is there's so many different ways to propel yourself forward, just like as hydropowered becomes more prominent and solar powered as well. Where do you see the future of energy within vehicles, like the storage and the emissions and transportation of it?
Wow, it's a challenging one.
Yeah.
I like that. I think it depends on the type of transit. So if we think about transit services here, so the RTC here, looking at hydrogen-powered buses. And the reason for that is that a bus is big, it's heavy. To make that electric-powered is a huge challenge because, again, it won't last a full service. So I need to charge it. Now, where do I charge it? Do I charge it at a transit stop? Do I charge it inductively on the road? So you can get technology. So as the bus is driving, it actually charges. But again, the amount of power that takes is pretty intensive. So for a bus or for, like, say, a truck, I need to think about something differently. I know that there's been a number of electric trucks being produced, but again, it's only got a certain amount of runtime because, again, we're not there on efficiency yet on motors and battery sources to be able to power it for a typical, a tank full of gas or diesel. So it depends on the vehicle. So your electric scooters are great because, again, you're lightweight. I'm only using them for short distances, and I can, pull them in and charge them quickly and, swap them out because they're small vehicles. A car, for example, again, you look at the EVs here that are currently being produced. You can do up to like 600 miles depending on your environmental conditions. Again, if I'm running my AC, if I'm running my heating, again, I drain my battery a lot. So if I'm in different parts of the world, I'm going to get a longer distance. On some of the smaller EVs, I'm going to get less than 100 miles. But if I'm doing small commutes, that's actually fine. So if we think about our normal commute from home to office, or how it used to be, or where hopefully it's going to go back to, it's less than 100 miles typically. So I can have it at home charging. I drive to my office or my work or wherever. I charge it there and I drive back. So it doesn't really matter. So there's no issue on range. So it does depend on what I'm using it for. And again, they talk about, alternative fuel, like shipping, the big cargo ships. And again, it may go back, you think about the old sailing days. Again, there's challenges on that. You're not going to fit a huge sail on a big cargo ship. But again, looking at alternatives. So maybe I flip between different types. So I have electric, but then I have really efficient engines that give me backup power when I need it. Or I may have some sort of hybrid system, like a lot of the vehicles do. I hear like Priuses, for example. I'm battery powered, but I've got a generator on board that kicks in when I get low. And there's a number of vehicles that do that as well. So I think it's going to be a real mix of technology and fuel sources in the transportation industry. Well, in the not too distant future, let's say the next 50 years. After that, then also it's not going to be around. So, but there's going to be obviously more innovations going forward.
Yeah. Hopefully in the future there's like some hovercrafts or something like that.
We'll be flying everywhere. Yeah, for sure.
How has progress been towards air-centric flight-traveled vehicles? Is there... Elon Musk was a critic of it. One of the reasons he said why he was building the boring tunnel is because he was like, we can't have so many vehicles flying around in the air because if debris falls, it's just going to fall on top of people and kill people. So he was like a big critic of creating these hovercrafts that Uber was venturing down in, a few other different rideshare and vehicle services. Do you see any progress towards trying to make that a primary mode of transportation?
I don't think it'll be primary. Well, not in the short future. But again, there was, it's like AVs, the autonomous. There was a big hype about it. It's a big thing pushed forward about these personal transportation pods. You're going to jump in. It's going to take you to wherever you want to go autonomously and drive around. And there has been a lot of work done on it and a lot of investment. And there's a number of companies out there that have actually developed something. But again, it's we're not mature enough yet in that market. And thinking about the airspace again above us, about controlling that. If we flood the airspace with personal pods, it's going to become congested. So we're going to hit that same snag as we do on a lot of the road networks now, with the extra safety issues about we're up in the air and we've got to come down. Gravity does affect everything back down to earth. So It will be part of transportation for sure. And again, some of the work I've done previously around that in preparing cities for that next step. But again, it's another big leap. It really is another big leap. So it's something to keep your eye on. It's something that will come, despite people saying, "Oh, that will not happen." It will happen because again, there's still a push to that. Because if you think about helicopters, here in Vegas, you will see a lot of helicopter traffic because it's an easy way to jump across the city, and it's an easy way to see things or get to places very quickly without having that issue around congestion. Or I want to get into a city area, so I can take my private jet, or I can jump on commercial airline. But if I want to do a short hop quickly, just jump into a helicopter. So it will become more of an affordable service, but part of the whole transportation network. Because we think about if we've got to do long or short distances, but I want to do it seamlessly. I want to be able to, maybe jump in my little autonomous AirPod to get me to the airport to do a long haul, or to get me to the transport hub, let's call it, to take whatever form of transport to get to New York. So I may jump in Hyperloop. It takes me a few minutes to get across there, and I pay a premium for that. So it will be, I think, in the future we'll have some sort of tiered system. So how quick do I want to get from A to B? So I select my ticket, and then that defines the transportation type I'm going to have to get there. But again, I want to go from where I am now to there, but do that seamlessly. So I want to book. So I want to go from here. I want to go from Jake Studios, and I want to go to I want to get lunch. How do I get there? I don't really care how I get there. I just want to get there. So, but I want to know how long it's going to take me, how much it's going to cost, and then also one decision maybe: am I going to be environmentally friendly or not? So again, does a gasoline vehicle pick me up, or does electric pick up? So again, I think it's going to be choices in the future, and air transport is going to be part of that choice.
Preferential choices is going to be very important in the future, especially with the adaptability of different technologies. Does your work also translate out into the seas and open waters for transportation?
Me personally, no. But it is something that I've done a little bit of work on in the past, doing a autonomous competition, and water taxis were part of that. But I've also done a little bit of work in ports. So, which obviously the water fleet is part of that equation. And again, it's pulling that together. So if I was working with the port authority, then it would be obviously connected to the shipping lanes, the timing of the shipping. I recently came across an organisation that looked more around the planning and the management of cargo ships, but doing it with AI to help a shipping organisation better plan where the ship's going to be. So, for example, ports have capacities, and again, when the big cargo ships arrive, they've got to unload it, and it takes time. Now, if I could better plan that, but plan it weeks out. So, if I've got a ship coming across the Atlantic that's going to hit the port, but the port's busy and I've got 10 other ships waiting, if I can tell that ship, hey, slow down by 2 knots, because when you get there, you're going to be waiting anyway. So if I slow it down by 2 knots, I'm going to save fuel. And then I'm going to save downtime when I'm actually there as well, which again is frustrating, which is going to cause more and more of a congestion. So we get congestions around ports. So that was a really interesting find coming across this organisation that actually did work around helping a ship plan its route better, more efficiently, smarter, to make that port more efficient. And again, so I've not got rotting goods sat there waiting. And again, from a consumer point of view, I've shipped goods. I've moved countries a few times, so I've had containers shipped with household goods in, and knowing exactly when you're going to get it is very important, because you plan to that. And again, if it's affecting your home and your family, you want to know in advance. So if I know that the date it's going to come on is pretty solid, then I can plan around that. If, like, again, my experience with shipping companies not being great, so you expect it one day and then 3 weeks later it turns up.
which is not good. And again, a lot of this is around congestion in ports. So it is part of it's part of transportation. Like it is a form of transportation. I've not done a great deal in that field, but again, this organisation I came across was really interesting about what it was doing.
I think the world recently woke up and realized how important the supply chain metrics work within the boats industry for two different reasons. One, first, when the pandemic first happened, we had that supply chain crisis where things weren't being shipped over here from overseas, from China. So everything on Amazon was delayed for months. When I ordered this podcasting equipment that we're talking on, it was delayed by over a month when I first ordered that, right when the pandemic happened, because it just hadn't been shipped over here. And also more recently in the news, when that huge cargo ship was caught in the Panama Canal and just blocked up traffic, and prices of future products or futures went crazy for corn and rice and beans and all these different things because everything was so delayed. But if they had some sort of automated device, they wouldn't have been caught because they would have known when to turn, or I don't know if it was just human error or whatever the case is, but it kind of, I think it woke up a lot of people for learning that this kind of transportation is still very relevant in today's world.
Oh, it is. It's part of what we need. I mean, we've become a nation of online ordering. So knowing that we have stock of something, or the supply having is very important. And again, because we have expectations. And again, when we order something online now, it tells us when it's arrived, and we get fixated by that date. And it may be a few days late, or for that instance, it was a lot longer. But it was really frustrating because our expectations have been set. Where we are now, our expectations are really high on lots of things. So when it doesn't arrive when it should arrive, we get really frustrated. So again, having that, like you said, that more connected world. If we know it's not coming tomorrow when we order it, it's going to come next week. That's fine. Expectations have been set. But if somebody tells me it's coming tomorrow and I'm waiting for it doesn't arrive, oh no, it's going to be next week now. Again, I get frustrated. So, and again, we've come to expect that, which is probably not a good position to be in. We should chill a bit, just expect things to come. But again, we need to know, because sometimes we plan something. So for your example here with the equipment, you needed that for a reason, and it didn't arrive. So again, it caused you to change your plans, which things shouldn't happen like that.
Yeah, expectations it's a double-edged sword, I must say. I think Vegas, speaking on expectations, I think Vegas is expected to come back to life June 1st. And as we mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, that means the roadways are going to be jam-packed again. Vegas is going to be thriving, hopefully, and everything will be back to normal, allegedly. So as Vegas comes back to normalization, where is Ludian's focus in making a stamp and helping out in the transportation industry in Las Vegas?
Okay, so I mean the RTC here again, pre-planning ready for that to obviously June 1st, and again on that ramp up there to be ready. And some of the projects I've been working with them is part of that, to enable the technology to meet demand. So again, picking strategic locations to say, hey, we need to focus on an area because we know we're going to hit problems here. So let's make it more efficient, more effective. So some of the work we've been doing is all about that. Again, do we know what's going to happen fully when Vegas opens? We've got a good idea on that because we've been there before, but I think it's going to be more because obviously, human nature tells us that, if we can't have something, then we want it more. So when we do open up and people, it becomes more freer, open to travel. I mean, we've seen now the US is really coming, back to speed in a lot of places. So there's going to be, more of a flood. Places are going to get busier. Hotels are going to get fuller. The strip's going to get busier. The casinos are going to be, loving it because, again, you're going to get more and more people in. So it's going to be more than it was. This is my prediction anyway, based on what I've seen. So again, it's, working with the agencies and making things more efficient. So let's take new land use changes, event centres you mentioned previously opening up. There's going to be changes there. So how do we get ready for that? How do we make sure that the infrastructure is ready for that? So again, working with technology vendors, bringing them in, and again helping them deploy, helping the agencies here adapt that technology to their best use. Working with the staff on training and the procedures and processes to say, hey, this is what happens when this happens. This is how we deal with this situation. But again, giving the right advice. If it's not the right thing to do, then as an organisation, we tell people that that don't do it like this, do it like this, based on what's the best benefit for you to do. Like I said, technology vendors come along and they'll sell you the moon, but we're not in that game. As an independent consultant, we'll come along and say, well, no, actually that's not the right product, or if you really want this product, then this is how we would implement that product, for example. So it's just, again, using our experience to help guide others. So, for example, on one of the things we're looking at is adaptive traffic. As an organisation, we've been doing that for a number of years in a lot of different continents. So, again, a huge bank of knowledge and experience in that. To we've made mistakes before because people have gone down certain paths. So we take that as a lessons learned to say, hey, we're not going to do that again. We're going to do it this way now, to help shortcut some of the headaches that you would have done on your own. So again, it's that there's that professional advice and guidance and support and direction.
And in terms of the adapted traffic systems, as when I talked with Zach and as we talked at the beginning, you guys were beginning to integrate the adaptive system outside of the new Henderson Stadium. Were you able to offer guidance and have those traffic systems implemented already? And if so, how has that experiment been so far?
Well, with the event center, that was about what can be done to help improve that, and the city now are looking to implement that. So yeah, I mean that's right on my doorstep. I mean that's right where I live. So again, I see that area. I see the event center being constructed and getting ready for the first event in February, where we're gonna hit capacity at the stadium, 6,000 seater. So working with the city there, again, to help and assist implement that.
And from your experience, has the city of Las Vegas been very accepting and forward-looking in terms of transportation and wanting to integrate these technologies?
Oh yes, without a doubt. Yeah, no, the city again, because of where it is and the some of the unique challenges we get here in Vegas, and obviously and the surrounding cities as well. The agency have been great. RTC as the operator, the city of Las Vegas as the owner of the infrastructure, and again, facing some of these challenges, they've been really actively implementing technology to help advance transportation and again help us as road users as well. Traverse this road network in the most efficient way.
That's awesome. Have you been following this road construction that's right out here on Las Vegas Boulevard in the Arts District? This is one of the largest road construction projects I've done in a long time.
Yes. So I used to drive up and down here a lot into the RTC offices here. So right opposite the premium outlet. So again, was right in the middle of that really. And then what's happening with some of the intersections and the upgrades, and then again around the Arts District. So yes, so some of those infrastructure changes again are needed to be ready for tomorrow. For that, when I say tomorrow, I mean, going forward, for that, when we get around here, because this area here is around the Arts District is up and coming. It's building up. It's going to get busier. It's becoming more and more attractive. More industries coming here, more people coming here to live. So again, it's going to get busier. So we have to be ready for that. We have to have the infrastructure ready for it.
And when they take on these big road construction projects like this, there's a joke in Vegas, as we say, our state flower is the orange traffic cone because streets are just being constantly worked on and fixed. What are they actually fixing? Are they? I see pipes being moved constantly? Like what is the general attack vector of what they're trying to fix when they go through these road construction projects?
Okay. Well, like most infrastructure, things wear. And again, when a lot of these roads were installed, we didn't have communications to the signals, again, so laying down the ducts to put the fiber communication network in, again, didn't exist when it was originally constructed. So the communication system needs to be upgraded. So that's one thing. So we need to put pipes in the ground to do that, to physically connect things together. And it's sometimes correcting alignment issues, or it's widening the sidewalk to make it more pleasant area. So I may take a road out to widen the sidewalk, or I may actually fetch the road width back to standard, which gives me back more pavement area to deploy landscape, to deploy seating areas, chill out areas and things like that, to make the area more pleasant. And again, if I want to add a lane or do a changed layout, if I'm upgrading the speed of that intersection, let's say I need to do changes to it, so I need to do alignment changes, geometry changes to that. So it's not just one thing when they do these construction projects. It's a number of upgrades happen at the same time. But yes, there is a lot of construction in Vegas, but that is a good thing. It means that we're evolving, we're growing, we are constantly looking at the future to say, what's next? I need to be ready for this. I need to be in preparation for this. So again, some of these construction projects are because of something that's happening in the next few years' time. So it's, while we're doing that, let's do it big to make sure we're ready for the future, because we know that, let's say, we're opening, a new a new exit from the freeway, or there's a new land use change, which is going to be a new facility there, which is going to generate a lot of traffic. So we'll get that ready now. While we have to dig the road up, let's do everything at once.
Very important for the growth of Las Vegas. We are, like I said, one of the fastest growing cities, always getting construction, and it's very annoying, but we know that it's very important. One more thing that I wanted to touch on regarding Vegas is the highway system. It seems like it's been built pretty well for the most part. There's really not much congestion outside of the giant spaghetti bowl thing that they had just completed recently. I know out in North Vegas they're doing like another spaghetti bowl type thing for the different interconnecting highways. Where do you think the future of the highway system is in Vegas? Is it good the way that it is, or does there need to be a certain upgrade to it to position itself in a positive manner going forward?
I think where it is today, I think we're in a good place. But you've got to think about how it evolved from what it was. So again, a lot of these were originally, dirt tracks that got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the road was just where it was. And if you think about, obviously, the Las Vegas Boulevard along the Strip, it is where it is because that's where it was. Okay. Now, as we look about the future from a transportation perspective and modal shift, my goal would be to get people out of cars and onto transit services and onto alternative transportation systems, because do we actually need to have a car and drive everywhere? And for some of the journeys we take, do we really have to take that journey? And also, as we become more and more used to this, I want things delivered to my home, something's got to support that as well. So the logistics companies, the transportation companies are growing, and I need to facilitate that. So, but if I can make my network more efficient, I don't need to build a new road. So if I can take what I've got and squeeze 30-40% efficiency out of it, I'm great. And again, as we see a constant increase in population, we see a constant increase in the building of housing, the building of businesses, and everything else that needs to facilitate that new housing. So I need schools, I need grocery stores, I need gas, I need everything that support that. So I'm going to see increase. So I'm going to see new roads built. Of course I am. But as we move in the transportation industry towards some form of utopia, again, I don't need that transportation network as heavy, because again, I'm going to use alternatives. I used to live in Dubai, and Dubai reminds me so much of Vegas with the challenges it has and the issues around, mass congestion, growing at a crazy pace, constant construction everywhere. I didn't own a car for a long time because I didn't need one. So I would use public transit. I would use taxi services because it was great when I needed to go further afield. I got a vehicle, but a lot of the times I didn't use it because I didn't need to use it for sort of like downtown area movements, which was great, And as we look at the road network here and some of the directions it's going in, it's more around, I want the environment to be nice. If I could, if we could, let's close the strip to all cars, okay? And I'm only going to provide the transportation service down there so it can be, people can enjoy it more. Or I'm going to provide, more open shuttle services up and down the strip. Because do I need to drive? Do I actually need to drive my car up and down the strip? Do I really need to do that? If I could keep that off the strip and keep that as more of a beautification tourist attraction area where, I don't know, I could put a river down the middle of it. Or I could, do something to make it a lot different as an attractor, because if I can get the cars out of that area, I'm going to get better air quality. I'm going to get, obviously, less congestion and keep people out of certain areas. So having embargoes in certain areas, for me, as a big, heavy tourist destination, I think is personally, I would like to see that. And again, that will happen at some point in the future. We're not ready for that yet, but that's where things will go, because our personal vehicles will start to fade as we go into this more on-demand, autonomous, electric, hydrogen-powered technology. Our need for a vehicle, personal vehicle, will disappear. That is the model of the future, where nobody will own vehicles. So there'll be fleet of vehicles out there that you don't own, you'll just use as a service. So mobility as a service, as we call one part of the industry, where it's just all on demand, because I don't need to own a car. And a lot of people that live in cities don't own cars. I know lots of people who have moved into city environments that have never bought a car. It's more of the younger generation, but they've never needed to, because everything's there. If I have a reliable, effective, and cost-effective transportation service available to me, why would I buy a car? If I wanted to drive into the mountains, I'd hire a car or I'd hire a service to take me there. But my general, Monday to Friday typical, I don't need one.
There are actually a few people that live in this building that do not own a car for that specific reason. That's why they moved down here. Everything's walking distance. They all work from home as well. And you save a lot of money. Most people are paying $200 a month in car insurance, and then another $200 to $300 a month for your car payment. So if let's say you travel or you take an Uber somewhere and it's $15 a ride, I'm terrible at math, but that's something equivalent of like 25 rides a month. It's like, how many places are you going to go in a month if everything is literally walking distance from you? So I agree.
Yeah, that's it. Like if I want to, hit the strip on Saturday night, jump in in the service, it takes me there. I don't have to think about, have I had a drink or not? Mm-hmm. Can I drive or not? Just jump in it and come back. But like the stores deliver, or you just walk down to the store if you want to do that. And the coffee shops around the corner, the restaurants are here. Everything's on your doorstep. That's not the same for everybody. Where I live in Henderson, again, I can walk to everywhere. It's great. I can walk to everywhere. So, unless I have to travel for going for somewhere for work, the vehicle just sits there. It doesn't turn a wheel. Doesn't need to. I can just walk everywhere. Which for me personally, I think that's great, and I love that, having that ability to be able to walk everywhere and having the things available. So again, because with this, this society of I just get online, jump and do my order, it comes to me. I don't have to leave the house if I don't want to, or I can just walk down to the store. So again, I think as we get more used to that, and again, I think as generations come through time, it will be more acceptable as well.
It's so beautiful. That concept you're talking about, eliminating the Las Vegas Boulevard and making it a public walking area, artistic area, that would just open up so much accessibility to all the casinos. If you could literally just walk across the street without having to go through a bridge, the revenue would increase dramatically for all of these casinos, and the tourists would be much happier as well, because you could hang out in an area that's not literally in the casino as well, and you could get away from the smoke. And it would remind me of like Fremont Street Experience. And if you ever walk down Fremont Street Experience, you have bars set up out there, street performers. It's a very lively area.
Yeah.
It's very lively, and it's extremely fun. And sometimes when you're at a casino for too long and they don't put clocks up for a reason, you just feel like time becomes distorted, and it feels like you're not even a part of reality. You become like dissociated from it. I hope that day does come soon. I'm all for that favor.
I think we should start a campaign.
Let's do it. We'll call it the Vegas experience, right? Put the rafter over it. Ian, I have one final question for you before we come out of here. The question is, what does Las Vegas mean to you?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. Well, living in Henderson, obviously Vegas isn't too far away, so I can see Vegas, and I love that view, and I love being able to sort of like, sometimes sit out, have a coffee, and look on there. But for me, it's wow. I have a real love for Vegas. I really do. I come into Vegas for the entertainment. So it feels like home when I'm here, but it also feels to me the community here is fantastic. Some of the people here I've met, awesome people, and I've made some great friends here as well. So for me, it feels like a home. I mean, obviously, born in the UK, lived in different parts of the world, and now living here. So it feels like a home away from home, but more than that, really. But again, it feels like a real. If I think about from my technology approach, it's a real hub of innovation, because you've got so much happening here at the same time, and because of the challenges of Vegas in respect of you've got a huge concentration of people in a very tight area. You think around like the Strip area specifically, which comes along with its huge challenges. But again, it's a real attractor for innovation. We like to do things a little bit different because our challenges are different. It's pretty unique here. I've not been to a city elsewhere that is like this. Like I said to you before, it reminds me of Dubai with a lot of the challenges, but they're a lot more focused and concentrated here. So it seems to me, Vegas to me feels like a wonderful collection of passion, of interest, excitement, innovation, and somewhere that I love calling home.
Beautiful. If I wanted to direct all of the listeners and viewers to follow you, get involved with Ludian, where do I send them?
Okay, so you can send them to our website, so ludianusa.com, or you can hook us up on LinkedIn. Again, you'll find Ludian on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, and see some of the exciting innovation projects we've been working on here.
Ian, thank you for coming on, man. I'm excited to follow you along your journey. This is a very riveting conversation, eye-opening for some things in society that seem so trivial but are so important, and there's so many different attack areas to figure out what we need in order to create an efficient transportation system. So thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, no, thank you for your time today, Jake. It's been fantastic. And I have a real passion for what I do. So actually being here as well, I love it. I love challenges. I love doing things differently and making a difference to people.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.